Your attention span is like a drooling and awestruck child in a candy store. The candy store being the internet. Over the past decade or so, and throughout many of our childhoods, social media platforms have been the undisputed champion at wasting your time. It is pretty much the mascot of the candy store in question. Each candy you purchase is instant gratification. Except this time, instead of money, it's your time that's being wasted. We may use social media for connecting with our friends, family, staying informed about current events, and most importantly, shitposts. And out of all the other candies in the aisle, TikTok and Instagram are the most associated with Zoomers. And likewise, Instagram specifically is also associated with high teenage depression, anxiety, and a soup of other mental illnesses for glorious Zuck to feast upon. The vulturous influencers that pry on your insecurities aren't really news either. And as of the past few years, you also have TikTok-style content on pretty much all major platforms. Even Reddit and Twitter have failed to stay free of this influence, despite crapping on how shitty TikTok is day in and night out. Now, I know that you might be tempted to leave this video due to your horrific attention span.
Don't leave. This is a genuine threat.
But it's only during the pandemic, during which we were stuck in total isolation under our roofs, that it has turned into utter pandemonium where brain death is more common than diamonds. And TikTok-style content has further increased this exponentially. Not really convinced that it's an issue? Now are you convinced that it's a genuine problem? By now, instead of asking,
well, what's wrong with TikTok-style content?
You would rather ask, but how does it even work? How is this actually harming us? The whole thing is pretty complex, so I won't really get into the nitty-gritty of the topic. But to keep it short, the feed is created in such a way that every element serves a purpose. Personally, I love dividing it into 3 parts: scrolling, passing judgment, and watching. Scrolling in these feeds in and of itself is pretty satisfying. To further add, you don't even really need to keep scrolling as you normally would, as in the case of other platforms. You're just a tiny swipe away from the next video. Not to mention how the content fits the screen and how the like, comment, and share button are much closer than they normally are when it comes to other platforms. Everything is conveniently arranged to increase interaction. And after each successive scroll at the start of each video, what content creators try to do is compete over your attention. This is what I love to call the judgment phase, which lasts a glance at best and approximately 5 to 10 seconds at worst. Now, evidently enough, this is the phase that conditions your mind to have crappy attention spans. To further adapt to this established fact, TikTokers and influencers try to keep the clips as short as possible, at best exceeding 20 to 30 seconds. You now have a mental picture of how this noticeably enforces the final process, watching. For the content that have piqued your interest in the early stages, you're most likely to watch them completely. In case of most of the content you stumble across in your feed, you are most likely to ignore them. But for the ones that you don't, you end up watching most of it. And in many cases, even if you are not really interested in, you have these short, bite-sized clips with rapid movements and cramming of as much sensory stimulation as possible. Automated channels take the best advantage of these tactics in order to get your engagement. And the fact that they exist is only making it worse, because you have a variety of tactics being employed at an industrial scale. And among some genres that are employed by these automation channels, you primarily have 2 forms of content. The first being Reddit automation. Peak cringe, yet still highly captivating and addictive. It's pretty much content scraped from Reddit narrated by an AI voice with Subway Surfer clips in the background. The purpose behind this benevolent gesture of adding Subway Surfers or game clips to the background, of course, to retain your attention. And then of course you have clips from podcasts and Andrew Tate, having games underneath or below the content as well. Of course, in an attempt to retain your attention. Now, the reason why I made this video is to create awareness about this since most of you might not already know this. Plus, I thought that it would actually be a cool topic to discuss, as well as experimenting with retaining your attention as well. Because let's face it, if it weren't for your support, I would not really be putting effort behind my content, and that's precisely why retention is important. Now, as I always say, please subscribe to my channel if you already haven't, and give your thoughts in the comments down below. See ya!